All right, I think we'll go ahead and get started. So this is Enterprise 223 delivering desktops and apps to the mobile device. We've got a packed hour here to show you a bunch of different things to talk about. What are the strategies for how you deliver your desktops and your applications to the mobile device. But before we begin, I want to talk and maybe introduce myself. So I'm Joe Vaccaro. I'm one of the product managers at Citrix, working in our desktops and apps group, and I work on our Zen Desktop and XenApp and Zen Desktop product lines. And with me is Ashish. Ashish is a principal architect in our mobile platforms group working on our Zen Mobile Cloud product. So what are we going to cover today over the next hour? We've got a bunch of things, a full-packed hour to walk through some key content about a few key specific topics. So we're going to really start by just kind of talking about how do desktop virtualization and cloud overlap? What are the key attributes that are required when you're taking desktops and apps and delivering them as a cloud service? And then we'll talk about, from a Citrix perspective, what are some of the solutions that are available today in order to get started using tried and proven products. You're leveraging your existing experiences either with Citrix products today or how you can be able to take existing products that are available in the market to be able to deliver on these type of use cases around delivering your desktops and apps to the mobile device in the cloud. And then what we'll do is we'll talk a little bit about how our Zen Desktop product, our product that delivers a desktop virtualization solution, and how that integrates tightly with AWS to be able to provide that level of a native integration and native provisioning directly from the Zen Desktop console. And then we'll kind of switch things up and talk about beyond the desktop and the needs around mobile device management, mobile application management, and then talk about then Zen Mobile Cloud. But before we get started here, just by show of hands, how many of you are Citrix users today, have Citrix in your environment? That's great. How many of you are running your Citrix environments on AWS today? A few? Great. So we'll talk about that and talk about some of those use cases that I think we see in the marketplace for how people are using Citrix technologies up in AWS today. So, how do we get started? And we talk about this new desktop and app economics, and we think about the troubles that people have from a desktop management today. If you look at just delivering a desktop management and look at in order to deliver a new operating system, right? Our customers that we work with, the end users that they serve, nobody likes to have that old classic Windows XP desktop, right? Their users are looking for that latest desktop that requires then the new applications to be delivered on that. And as you're going through the cycle of deploying new operating systems, deploying new applications, going through that validation, user acceptance testing, by the time you get done with it, you're ready for the next cycle. You're ready to deploy that next operating system. And you get on this hamster wheel approach, right? When we think about this traditional model of desktop virtualization, it's this hamster wheel of never-ending updates, validation, user acceptance, rollout, updates. And in that process, you're not delivering value to your end users. You're just creating busy work in your overall, from an administration perspective. And then as you go through this, if you want to be able to change out your infrastructure, maybe you're looking at, within your own data centers today, updating your infrastructure that's running this environment. The moment you change that infrastructure, you start this entire process over again. So obviously, there's a number of faults with this type of an approach, right? You're not delivering that value. You want to get to a level of abstraction through modularity that a service-based delivery model provides, allowing you to abstract the management layer, how you manage your environment, from the actual service delivery layer, your desktops and apps, and how they're actually delivered to the end user from the underlying infrastructure. And by doing so, and by leveraging this new service-based delivery model, you're able to leverage that economics that cloud provides, that efficient, scalable operation, allowing you to swap your infrastructure, moving from, say, a on-premise environment up into AWS. You're able to swap out your desktop and app delivery mechanism, moving from, say, a hosted shared desktop to a hosted shared application, or moving from a single set of applications to adding new and different types of applications in your environment, and all being able to do this from a single management layer. Okay? So when we think about our core products and how we're delivering this from a Citrix perspective, our latest product, Zen Desktop 7, really allows us to be able to separate these into these different service delivery layers, being able to provide a single management experience through Studio, and we'll actually show a demonstration of that. And from there, being able to then separate that from your actual desktop and app delivery layer, allowing you to deliver different types of applications to meet different user needs. And then being able to now deliver this directly natively onto cloud infrastructure, either within AWS, we're here at the AWS conference, or leveraging, say, within your own IT environments, your own hybrid IT, and running, say, Citrix Cloud Platform, provide that level of private cloud-based services within your own walls. But when we think about Citrix desktop virtualization, right, many people equate that to just the delivery of HDX. And so if we step back here for the folks that aren't Citrix customers and talk about, well, what is Citrix desktop virtualization? What accompanies it, right? How has Citrix become the leader in desktop virtualization, right? It starts by having that relentless focus on the user experience. In delivering that, it starts by providing a ubiquitous access across any device. And that is through the receiver product you see there at the client. Our receiver product, and we'll show in that demonstration, runs on any device you can bring into your environment. So when you're looking at your users and your users say, you know what, I want to use that new Chromebook environment. Hey, you know what, I want to bring my iPad into the data center. I want to use that Kindle HDX. You can be able to say, I have a way to be able to deliver you the desktops and apps that you need. So how are those actual desktops and apps delivered, right? The actual experience is delivered through HDX. What HDX is the protocol and the set of technologies that allow you to provide that high-definition experience to your users. So when they're logging in to those applications and those desktop environments, they're getting that feeling of a native experience when accessing those apps and desktops, regardless of the device. Having that level of protocol that's adaptive to the experience, meaning that if you're accessing over a public wireless, which we'll be doing here a little bit later in the session, the overall experience optimizes based upon the network traffic and the characteristics that are available. And then what you need to be able to do is, as customers are actually accessing the environment, being able to securely authenticate and be able to access your backend app store. So they authenticate within a Citrix environment using that NetScaler gateway, providing that secure access to an environment, that single click or single sign-on based approach. Then accessing that enterprise app store, the app store that you want to be able to provide, to be able to then publish the set of apps and desktops and data that you want to then serve as offerings to your end users. And then how is that being served? Those apps and desktops come from the core product, our core Zen Desktop product, that is now able to be run directly on top of AWS. So how are people using this today? And I saw some of the hands come up that says, I'm a Citrix customer today, and I'm looking at how do I run this up in AWS? One use case that we actually see, a growing use case that we see, is the ability to actually look at how I'm able to flex and by deploying new sites, whether those are XenApp or Zen Desktop, up in Amazon in order to meet additional capacity needs, right? The flex use case, where you're looking at a new set of users and not wanting to be able to deliver those directly in your data center, but instead being able to deliver those up in your virtual private cloud running in any region of AWS provides. So if you think about this, when we think about this use case, one of the key here is that from an end user access, how end users are accessing the apps and desktops, it's a completely unified experience, meaning that when they access and authenticate to the system, and then through receiver, see the apps and desktops that are enumerated in their, via their app store, when they launch an application, they don't know the difference of whether that application is being served from the enterprise data center or whether that app or desktop is being launched from the public cloud. And so from an IT standpoint, you're able to provide them that single app store experience, but now being able to utilize the capabilities that AWS provides to be able to serve new users, such as if you have new users in, say, a different geography, and the latency to be able to connect back to that enterprise data center is too great. Or say you want to have a set of transient type of needs, say a group of interns that you want to be able to spin up a desktop, and you don't want to necessarily utilize your on-premise resources, being able to serve that up through AWS. And so we think about these different needs. What we've actually done is built out a set of reference architectures to be able to actually say, how do you take this and do this today using our existing products? And so when we think about this is actually something that Citrix has done for many years. we've had a reference architecture for delivering XenApp 6.5 up in AWS for now over a year. So you're able to take the leading product for delivering your published apps and published desktops and be able to follow the reference architecture and design guide, be able to walk through step by step how you're able to deliver on these use cases. And the use cases we talked about are not just about flexing and being able to extend your on-premise environment up into AWS, but then also being able to run your entire Citrix environment up in AWS. So whether you're looking at this hybrid IT approach or whether you're looking at moving your entire environment up into the Amazon cloud, you can do this based upon these different reference architectures. So when we think about this reference architecture, you can go today to citrix.com/Amazon and be able to actually download the reference architecture that walks through that step by step. And we think about this, one of the key benefits that's documented in here is how to actually do this in a highly available environment. Being able to stripe across multiple different availability zones, being able to deploy across different regions allows you to get that level of high availability so that any time that your users access, you can be able to provide them an app or desktop that they need in order to be productive. Additionally, this reference architecture talks through the different interconnectivity, being able to connect back into your on-premise resources so that you can use the connection to be able to connect back into your on-premise Active Directory, leverage your, say, on-premise storefront or your on-premise licensing server to be able to use those different capabilities if you're not necessarily going to move those up into the Amazon cloud. So this reference architecture is based today on XenApp 6.5, and we'll be moving out and delivering a Zen Desktop-based reference architecture as well. But when we talk to customers, though, it's more than just being able to deliver a reference architecture to fit their needs. They don't want to necessarily just have that 100-page document and have to follow it line by line. What they really want is to say, how can Citrix help me to automate the actual build-out of this environment? And so in working in partnership with Amazon, we've actually built out a set of CloudFormation templates that allow you to be able to use these CloudFormation templates that automates the actual build-out of these reference architectures. And so these CloudFormation templates are built in a modular way, separating out separate CloudFormation templates for the different layers of the stack. Being able to use the CloudFormation template to help automate the actual network components by using and filling out the parameters to say which availability zone do you want to leverage in, what is your VPC that you're leveraging, what is the NetScaler that you want to use. And even being able to leverage the NetScaler that's available today in the Amazon Marketplace, you're able to use these CloudFormation templates to actually help you to automate. And so these CloudFormation templates allow you to be able to automate both the access tier, your NetScaler, your Cloud Bridge connectivity, your access layer, being able to look at your storefront and being able to stand up that enterprise app store, that service delivery layer, being able to then stand up your XenApp workers, your Zen Desktop workers, the controllers, the database layers. And by the time you walk away, basically set these CloudFormation scripts to be running, go have some lunch, and by the time you come back, you have a fully built out Citrix environment against these best practices in the reference architecture, completely hosted up in AWS. So we talked about today, up until this point, right, about how this desktop economics changes when you're moving to AWS, as well as we talked about the reference architecture and the CloudFormation scripts that are available to help you do this today. But when we talk about how we're moving forward and how we're actually going to take this further and be able to integrate, I want to actually walk through some of the changes that are coming within the actual Citrix Zen Desktop product to be able to further integrate and further optimize the delivery of these desktops and apps directly on AWS. So if you think about a typical Zen Desktop environment today, on the left you have a typical architecture. You have your controllers that, from your controllers, you use Desktop Studio to be able to create new host connections to your different hypervisors. And today you can, from Studio, you can make connections to any of the leading enterprise hypervisors, vSphere, Hyper-V, as well as Citrix Zen Server today. And that hypervisor layer is then abstracting for Zen Desktop the network, the compute, and the storage that's used to actually provision out those desktop and app environments. So what we did is we wanted to be able to take that same approach, that same methodology, the same workflow, and apply it to how this would be delivered on top of AWS. And so as you can see on the right here, now what you're able to do is take that same controller, and now instead of creating a host connection to say, Zen Server, you're actually selecting AWS. And when you authenticate, you select then the region and the availability zone that you want to use to be for provisioning those app and desktop session machines. So you're able to do this and deploy this inside of any VPC within any region and availability zone. And it supports all the range of different published app and desktops, as well as server VDI. So you're able to actually give a dedicated Windows 7 experience with a dedicated desktop model to your users. So it's not just a hosted, shared, typical published app and desktop, but actually being able to deliver a full VDI-like experience from the Citrix product. And one of the key things that we get excited about from a customer perspective when using and delivering Zen Desktop on AWS is the ability now, when you're creating your machine catalogs, to be able to then select any AWS instance type to be able to optimize for that app and desktop delivery. So in the past, when you're creating a traditional hypervisor, the only parameters that you were able to customize was the number of virtual CPUs and the amount of memory that are available to that desktop or application. But now when you're leveraging AWS and the instances, right, the instances are not only the amount of memory and the amount of CPU, they're also about the amount of IOPS that are being delivered to that desktop. Does this instance include a GPU-backed GPU card to be able to provide a set of applications that require or that are able to leverage the GPU capabilities, as well as the network performance? And so you can be able to really customize that app and desktop for those specific needs. But say over time you've deployed this application, and now you're seeing that my application needs are changing over time. You can be able to come in, be able to select a different instance type, and be able to then fine-tune those different specific needs as the environment's changing. So I want to spend some time now and actually walk through what this looks like in practice and how we can use Studio to be able to deploy to AWS. So if I come into to here, actually if I start here and actually log in, so I'm logging into my receiver. So from an end user perspective, they use receiver on any device, and by accessing receiver, they're able to see the set of apps and desktops that they have available to them. In this case, I've logged in as myself, and I have a number of different desktops that are available to me. I also have a set of applications that I have available as an end user to be able to subscribe to. And I've published a number of applications from Adobe, AutoCAD, Google, and others that I can be able to leverage. But before that, let's then switch gears and talk about actually how are these delivered down into the receiver environment. And I'm going to use, from an administrator perspective, our tool Citrix Studio, which is used to be able to actually provision and set up your Citrix environment. And so if you're familiar with Zen Desktop today, you see that Studio is the tool to use to be able to provision out and to manage your Zen Desktop environment. In a typical fashion, what you do first is create a host connection to the different infrastructure that you want to leverage. In this sense, I've already created a connection to AWS US East 1, but let's go ahead and say let's create a new connection to that environment. So if I come in here, I'm going to go ahead and actually use these existing credentials. And from here, what you can see is I'm actually then able to select the VPC that I want to leverage for provisioning the session machines into that specific environment. Right, that virtual private cloud allows you to be able to take a slice of the Amazon cloud and be able to separate that in a private network, be able to keep those desktops from being able to be accessible over the public internet. So from the virtual private cloud, I can select the VPC, and you can see that then this VPC has a number of different availability zones that I can be able to provision to. So I'm able to then stripe across different availability zones to be able to deliver that level of high availability for my desktop catalogs that I'm going to create later. So I'm going to go ahead and select a different availability zone. As I walk through this, I'm going to select then my subnets that I want to use and create this. And let's go ahead and call this reinvent and finish. So what it's going to do is now be able to use this new resource when I'm then taking the second step, which is creating your machine catalogs that you want to leverage. So in a machine catalog, right, is just a set of instances of like type used to be able to provision the different desktops and apps that you want to leverage. So you can see here I have a number of different desktop catalogs that I've already used, and these are serving up the desktops and apps that I showed you when I was logged into Receiver. If I create a new machine catalog using this different connection, I'm going to go ahead and select that I'm going to use a server-based operating system for this desktop. I'm going to use machine creation services to provision using this resource that I just created. And when I move forward, I'm going to go ahead and select that this is the AMI template that I want to leverage. So I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a server VDI-based desktop that's going to leverage a Windows server-based image used for a VDI-like experience. And when I leverage and move forward, what you'll see now is I'm going to select my security groups. And then you get to I think, the fun part. And this is where you're able to then actually, based upon this integration, select the instance type that best meets the needs that you have within your environment. So I can come in here and say, you know what, I'm going to create a catalog of 10 machines. And you know what, this is going to be a high-performance desktop environment. I'm going to be delivering from this my developers that rely upon high 3D type graphic applications. They're going to be needing the full power of what a desktop can provide. So I'm actually going to scroll down to the bottom and see that I'm actually able to leverage Amazon's new G2 instance that they released a couple weeks ago. Right? This G2 instance is backed by the NVIDIA grid cards that provide that GPU capability. And so within this environment, I'm going to go ahead and select that. So as I'm coming through and then adding my networks, selecting my OUs that I want to publish for my computer names, so call this reinvent, pound, and call this machine catalog name AWS reinvent. And as I finish, what's going to be doing is actually now contacting the AWS APIs, provisioning those instances into that VPC with the networks that I set up, and now are ready to, based upon that image, provision that image out. So now I basically have a set of desktops that I've created ready for my users. The last step in a Citrix environment is then adding those users into the delivery groups and providing them access. In order to kind of really speed up time, actually what I want to do is actually jump into what does this actually look like to utilize as an end user these different desktops and applications hosted in AWS. So from a user, what you can say is, you can see the look and feel. And so this is a virtual desktop that I've provisioned into my AWS environment. This is actually the GPU-backed instance that I created earlier. You can actually see, so here is a GPU cards. You can see that I'm running, and it has a NVIDIA grid card on here. And I've actually, from here, had a number of different applications that I've actually already pre-launched. So one of them is Autodesk, right? And so from a Citrix standpoint, we have a lot of customers that use Citrix to be able to provide 3D type modeling applications. Being able to centralize the actual application delivery close to those large data sets and then allow your developers to work on those different data sets in a completely central, completely secure manner. But up until now, what that meant is that those data sets that are running in your data center, your Citrix environment must be deployed right next to it. But if you're able to actually run that data set and moving your entire data set, say, up to AWS, you can then move now your Citrix environment up next to it. And so this AutoCAD application, you can kind of see the performance that I have. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab here and spin it around and see that I'm able to operate as if it's a actual desktop, right? This is something that your end users would be happy using on a day-to-day basis. And the good thing here, right, from a Citrix standpoint, is now they're able to do this on any device wherever they are. I can also launch this and run this actual benchmark. This is a graphical benchmark that's used to look at the overall performance within a kind of a high graphic type application. And so this is, again, this benchmark is going to load, and it's going to run this video and looking at what's this actually like. And so this is actually, right, operating over a wireless connection onto this desktop, connected to this instance, and being able to use and fly through this different kind of 3D world that this benchmark runs through. So you can see that there's a little bit of choppiness due to the network latency, but overall, the performance that you're going to be able to get when running this HDX-based experience using this GPU-backed instance in AWS will provide you with a robust capabilities to move that Citrix environment up into the cloud. So if I quit this out and kind of wrap things up here, let me go ahead and switch back over to my PowerPoint. So we think about some of the key takeaways here, right? So I think as we talked about, what's important is that you can start today. You can use XenApp 6.5 and you can use Zen Desktop 7 directly on AWS. You can leverage that reference architecture and those CloudFormation scripts, be able to help automate. Set it up, run it, come back from lunch, and you have a complete Citrix environment that leverages all the capabilities and all the benefits that Citrix delivers from that high-performance experience, that enterprise app store, the ability to deliver both a VDI-based environment as well as just published applications directly to your end user. And you can be able to extend that with your existing deployments based upon those hybrid IT-based scenarios, and be able to connect that back to your enterprise data center using the CloudBridge product. Both NetScaler, CloudBridge are available in the marketplace today, so that you're able to leverage the per-hour-based pricing. And then as we talked about the integrations, as you're planning your next Citrix deployments and wanting to take advantage of the further integration, being able to then scale out your future needs using this Zen Desktop integrated provisioning, and being able to then leverage that instances of the network and storage that are completely optimized for the AWS usage. But as we talk about here in this in the conference today, there's a lot of talk now about the desktop, right? But when we think about from a Citrix perspective, from the end user needs much more than just a desktop. What they really need is a set of Workstyles that provide them the capabilities beyond just what a desktop provides. And so with that, I'm actually going to turn the floor over to Ashish, and Ashish is going to talk about what are some of the needs beyond the desktop in order to provide the set of mobile Workstyles. All right, thanks, Ashish.
Thank you, Joe. All right, so to complete what Joe was saying, yes, Workstyles need more than a desktop. And what we are referring to are the shiny new gadgets that you guys are carrying with you, your smartphones and your tablets. Now, as enterprise admins, you want to enable your end users to bring their mobile devices so that they can access the corporate services in a secure manner. And these devices may be bring your own, or they may be company provided. However, as these devices come into your organization, there are at least 8 or so different areas for which you need a solution. And these are device management, application management, having the right network and data controls, enabling single sign-on, being able to deliver Windows applications to these devices, and lastly, enabling social as well as collaboration from these devices. And there are a number of different vendors that specialize in each of these areas. So the options you have are A, that you work with at least 8 different vendors, and that not only increases costs and involves integration headaches, but results in a much poorer experience for your end users. Or you work with Citrix that has solutions spanning all of these areas. So at Citrix, we have Zen Mobile that helps with mobile device management and application management. We have ShareFile for sharing and synchronizing documents on devices. We have NetScaler for network control and acceleration. Zen Desktop, which Joe just talked about, to deliver Windows applications and desktops to any device. And then lastly, Podio and GoToMeeting for collaboration as well as social within an organization. And all of these products have tight integration with each other so that you, as the enterprise admin, can design a solution that not only addresses all of these problem spaces, but also results in a very good experience for your end users. So for the rest of the session today, I'm going to focus on Zen Mobile, more specifically Zen Mobile Cloud. And then as part of showing the experience, I'm going to show how the rest of the products integrate with Zen Mobile. So what is Zen Mobile Cloud? So Zen Mobile Cloud is a SaaS offering from Citrix that enables you to manage and secure devices, applications on these devices, as well as the data that is accessed by these applications. So let's start from the bottom of the stack. So at the bottom of the stack, you have device management. So device management enables you as the enterprise admin to control the mobile devices in your organization. With device management, you have the ability to push specific configuration and policies to your devices. And at the same time, it also allows you to remove applications and data in a selective manner. And you may have to do that, say, when an employee leaves an organization or when a device is lost. The next layer in the stack is data management. Right? So with data management, you enable your users to synchronize data between devices, as well as to share it with other employees in an organization. And you need to do that so that employees can do their job without exposing the corporate assets at risk. Right? That is by not requiring them to use any internet-based file sharing services that IT doesn't have visibility into. Okay? And lastly, with application management, you can define your own enterprise application store. Application management also lets you enable controls within applications so that the corporate data is only accessible by a set of approved applications. Also with application management, you can have single sign-on between a set of applications and the ability to create application-level VPN tunnels from the device to the corporate network without having a full-blown device-level VPN. And this entire stack that you see out here is delivered as a managed service, completely hosted in AWS. So in the next few minutes, I'm going to show our architecture when deployed in AWS, as well as what are the AWS services we use for powering Zen Mobile Cloud. But before that, I want to show you guys 2 videos that show the Zen Mobile Cloud experience. So the first video I want to show is about the administration experience. So when you sign up for this cloud service, you get access to a self-service portal. Right? So when you log in, you're presented with this dashboard. And in this dashboard, this dashboard shows you the various alerts in your organization. And these are related to enrollment as well as compliance. It also shows you a breakdown of devices by specific platforms. And it also shows you what devices are being managed in this organization, as well as what devices have still not enrolled with the service and hence unmanaged. Also, for pretty much any data set that is presented in this dashboard, you can take specific actions, right? So you can see what are the different versions of Android being used in your organization. You can also drill down further to get specific device information about those devices, like what are their device IDs, as well as which users own those devices. And in addition, you can take actions on the data that is being presented, right? So I can select a set of devices, and I can send notifications to the users that own these devices, either using SMS or email. Or I can take some more drastic steps, like I can perform a selective wipe or even a full wipe on those devices. So next, let's look at policy management. So using the same portal, you can define the policies that you want to push to your mobile devices. And we have policies for a host of device platforms. So let's look at the policies for iOS. So as you see out here, I've configured 2 policies for iOS. The first one is the URL of my application store, which I want to push out to all devices. And the second one is that I want to enforce a certain passcode policy for all of my iOS devices. Now, in addition, I can define a whole bunch of other policies, like VPN configuration, or if I want to disable AirPlay, and many, many more. So once I'm done defining the policies, then I can associate those policies with users and groups. And for that, we have a good integration with your on-premise Active Directory. Right? So using the same self-service portal, you can enumerate user or group accounts from your Active Directory and associate these policies with those users or groups. So next, let's look at application management. Right? So using the portal, you can also define the applications that you want to push to mobile devices. And these applications can be either mobile applications, web or SaaS applications, or even Windows applications. So I'm going to show you one of the existing mobile applications, and I'm going to edit that application so that you can see what policies have been defined on that mobile application. So as you see out here, the first set of policies are the authentication policies. That is how frequently users need to re-authenticate. The second set of policies is around what are the minimum device security requirements. That will this application function only if the device is, say, for example, not jailbroken. Next, we have some networking requirements. That is whether this app will only function on specific Wi-Fi networks. Some policies around encryption of the data that is managed by the application. And also a whole bunch of application restriction policies. That is whether camera should be blocked when this application is being used, or should the screen capture be blocked when this application is being used. And many, many more policies, as you see out here. So all of these policies can be set on a per application basis. And also I can define links to web or SaaS applications. And for that, out of the box, we ship connectors for most of the well-known SaaS and web applications. So using these connectors, you can not only provision access to those web and SaaS applications, but you also get single sign-on capabilities to those applications. And lastly, the portal also provides a rich set of reports so that you can see, you can get a good idea of mobile device usage patterns in your organization. Okay? So let's check out one of the reports, which is the device software report. So using this report, I can see what are the top applications that are present on mobile devices within my organization. So this is the administrator experience when using the Zen Mobile Cloud service. So as you see, though this is a cloud service, as an admin, you are in full control of devices as well as applications on them. So next, let's look at the end user experience. So as an end user, you start with the Works Home application. And this application is available in the public app stores like iTunes, or in the Apple App Store or the Google Play Store. Right? Now, once you log into the Works Home application, this Works Home application, it also contains your corporate application, your app store. Right? And in this store, I can see all the apps that my admin has made available to me. And these can be Windows applications that are being delivered using XenApp, applications from the Apple App Store, the enterprise line of business mobile applications that my admin has defined, also SaaS applications, and any other enterprise web applications. And to subscribe to any of these applications, I just tap on the application icon, and it gets added shortly to my Springboard. So as you see out here, I've already subscribed to a few applications. So let's take a look at some of these. So the first application I want to show is the Works Mail application. So this application lets end users get access to their corporate email without requiring their Exchange servers to be exposed to the internet. Also, any email or attachment data is saved in a secure vault on the mobile device so that no other applications can access it. So if I want to compose an email, I can easily browse through all of my corporate contacts as well as distribution lists. And I can also send attachments from right within the mobile application. Right? So I can attach any pictures, or more importantly, I can attach documents present in ShareFile. Right? So once I log into ShareFile, it lets me navigate my ShareFile folders and select one or more documents. And once I hit attach, they show up as links right within my email. So this is way better than the native attachment, email app attachment flow, which requires you to typically start sending attachments from a different application. Now also using the same Works mail application, I can manage my calendar. So it shows me what are the meetings on my calendar. And more importantly, it also lets me easily create meetings right from my mobile device. And as part of creating meetings, I can easily enter conferencing information. And for that, we support GoToMeeting as well as third-party conferencing. Also for existing meetings, I can quickly tap on the join meeting option, and it launches GoToMeeting, and I get joined to that meeting. And at the same time, for existing meetings, if I'm running late, I just need to tap on running late, and it sends an email to the organizer to state that I'm running a few minutes late. So you can see both of these options can be quite handy if you're using a smartphone and you are, say, in a car, so that you don't have to try to craft an email while you're driving, right? All right, so the next application that I want to show is the Works web application. So this is our secure browser that lets you browse intranet sites by creating a VPN tunnel from the device to your corporate network. So once this site comes up, yeah, there we go. So this is an internal website within Citrix that you can browse from your mobile device, even though you may not be on your corporate intranet, right? And depending on the type of the site, it may prompt you for authentication, or it can also single sign on using a variety of schemes like form fill or SAML, or even by doing Kerberos-based authentication. And the last application that I want to show is the ShareFile application. So with the ShareFile application and integration with Zen Mobile Cloud, you have single sign-on to the ShareFile Cloud service so that you can browse all of your folders, and any content that you have synchronized to the mobile device is saved again in a secure vault. And you can do a quick preview of any of your documents right within the application. As well as you can also perform some quick edits right within the ShareFile application. And for that, it has a pretty rich text editor. And when I save, this document is saved back to the secure vault, as well as is synchronized right away with the ShareFile cloud. So that's the end user experience when using Zen Mobile Cloud. So if I go back to the deck, yeah. So let's take a quick look at the key takeaways, right? So as an admin, you get full control of your devices and applications with a self-service portal. As an end user, you get better than native experience for your mail and web related actions. And that's because right from the mail application, you can browse all of your corporate contacts, you can manage calendars, you can send attachments. And with the ShareFile integration, you have single sign-on to the ShareFile cloud, as well as you can use it to securely share documents with your colleagues, as well as with amongst your mobile devices. So next, I want to show you guys the architecture of Zen Mobile Cloud. So on the right-hand side, you have the Zen Mobile Cloud service. And on the left-hand side, we have a typical customer data center with Active Directory and other web applications, Exchange, as well as XenApp and Zen Desktop. Now, in order for Zen Mobile Cloud to integrate with your enterprise applications, we require an IPsec tunnel from the cloud to your data center. And for that, as part of the subscription, we do provide you a Cloud Bridge Connector appliance, which is an IPsec appliance that you can deploy within your DMZ. Also, as part of onboarding you to the service, we help you set up the IPsec tunnel. So now let's speak into the Zen Mobile Cloud. So within the cloud, for every customer, we have an isolated VPC. So this is a dedicated partition for a customer that is completely separate from the rest of the cloud. Now, within that VPC, we have an isolated network within which we host dedicated Zen Mobile instances for each customer. So as you see, there is no sharing of data on networks going on between customers, and that greatly minimizes the possibility of any kind of data leakage between customers. Also, as part of the Zen Mobile Cloud subscription, you get entitlements to the ShareFile service so that you can save your documents in cloud, as well as you get a storage zone connector, which is an appliance you place in your DMZ, so that you can access data saved in any traditional document repositories like SharePoint or FileShare from your mobile device as well. So with this architecture, your mobile device is managed using Zen Mobile Cloud. It can access documents from the ShareFile cloud service, and it can access applications as well as documents that are saved in your data center. So next, let's look at some of the communication flows when using Zen Mobile Cloud. Okay. So for policy refreshes and application subscription, the end user has to use the Works Home application on a mobile device. And once the user authenticates using that application, Zen Mobile Cloud integrates with Active Directory to authenticate the user. And the policies as well as the applications are directly pushed from the cloud back to the mobile device. For accessing intranet web apps as well as email, the end user has to use the Works Web and the Works Mail applications, which I just showed, right? And again, once the user authenticates, then the mail and web traffic flows directly from a gateway in our cloud back to the customer data center. Right? So the benefit of this model is that you don't have to deploy any additional gateways in your DMZ beyond the Cloud Bridge connector. And also the SSL for mail and web traffic is end-to-end. That is from the mobile device to your application servers. So that way no one, including our employees, can peek into your mail and web traffic. Also, at no point in time do we save any mail or web traffic on any of our machines in the cloud. And lastly, for document access, you use the ShareFile application, right? And when used in conjunction with Zen Mobile Cloud, you get single sign-on to the ShareFile service so that you can access any of your documents saved in the cloud, as well as using the storage zone connector, you can access documents that might be that have been saved in SharePoint or file shares on premise. So in terms of features, let's talk about availability first. The Zen Mobile Cloud service is available in multiple geos, and you may want to choose a specific geo either for proximity reasons or for compliance reasons. Okay. Also, we have continuous monitoring of all of the instances hosted in AWS, as well as we have regular backups of the configuration data. And as I mentioned, our service is completely hosted in AWS and only in AWS. And AWS provides an uptime guarantee of 99.95%. In terms of security, as I showed, we use a dedicated VPC and dedicated instances per customer. So there is no sharing of any data or machines or networks going on between customers. Also, for end user authentication, we support multiple schemes for authentication. We support multi-factor authentication, and we also support user certificate-based authentication. And lastly, all of the mobile application data is always encrypted, whether it's in motion or at rest on the mobile device. And though this is a cloud service, it is very well integrated with your enterprise IT resources, and so that you can get single sign-on with Active Directory, as well as you can securely access your intranet mail applications or web applications. And if you happen to have XenApp or Zen Desktop on premise, then using the self-service portal, you can configure link back from Zen Mobile Cloud to your on-premise XenApp or Zen Desktop setup. So that way, your users, when they log in to the store, they see all of the applications in the same store. And so, as I mentioned multiple times, our service is completely hosted in AWS, and we use a number of key Amazon services to power our offering, right? So we use EC2 and VPC for running all of the instances. We use the Amazon Relational Database Service, the MySQL variant, for saving configuration data. We use S3 for saving backups of our machines. Route 53 for DNS records, both internal and external. And within our operations team, we use the identity and access management to control who can see and touch which parts of the system. Also, in the first half of 2014, we will be introducing support for Amazon VPN. So that way, in addition to CloudBridge connector, you have one more option for creating an IPsec tunnel from cloud to your enterprise. Yeah, the benefit of Amazon VPN is that it allows multiple third-party endpoints as IPsec endpoints. So if you've already standardized on Cisco or Yamaha or Juniper for IPsec, then we can support that as well. All right, so that's all I have. I strongly recommend you to visit our website and sign up for a free trial, so that way you can experience the service firsthand. And while you guys are out here, I encourage you to visit a booth, so you can see some demos of our system as well. All right. So at this time, we have a few minutes.